He'll reset. Nowitzki again for the lead. Bang!
What's up, Mavs fans? Welcome into today's video where I'm breaking down the Mavs versus Nuggets game preview for you guys and giving you all the updates about your Dallas Mavericks. I'm your host, Jimmy Crowther, here on the All Things Mavs channel. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that. We're almost at 3,000 subscribers, and when I get there, I'm going to give away an All Things Mavs t-shirt to one lucky subscriber. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and you're automatically entered to win the giveaway. So the Mavs and Nuggets are set to face off in Dallas at 7:30 p.m. Central Time on Monday night. Dallas will look to bounce back from a pretty ugly loss at the hands of the Houston Rockets, in which they did not have Kristaps Porzingis, and Luka Doncic just really couldn't do it all by himself in that game, even though he was terrific. And Denver is coming off of three straight wins, and two of those being against the Phoenix Suns. But I know a lot of you guys are here right now for the updates about Josh Richardson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Maxi Kleber, and Dwight Powell. The only update is that there is no update. Josh Richardson was in attendance for that Houston Rockets game. He did get to sit on the bench, and he recently posted an Instagram story where he was doing his first real cardio back in the Mavs training facility, trying to get back into shape, and he looked like he was sweating his butt off because he hasn't really worked out in basically 2.5 weeks at this point. So still none of those guys, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Rick Carlisle recently had a quote in which he said, "We've got some guys that are working out at the practice facility now." And the only reason that quote is important is because he says some guys. And this is in relation, obviously, to the guys that are out for COVID-19. That's 4 players. And if coach is saying some guys, that means multiple players are working out. At least one of them is Josh Richardson. We don't know who the second is, but I'm going to guess it's Dorian Finney-Smith because he was the second one that actually got sick. And so, I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Now, the return of Dorian, Maxi, and Dwight Powell are completely up in the air. I would expect the first one to return would be Josh Richardson, and honestly, I'd be happy with that because he's the least familiar with this system, and he would probably be the biggest help as of right now when it comes to secondary playmaking and his defensive ability. I mean, Maxi would be nice too to have his big man presence, but that's just the furthest one from actually returning. Now, after this game, the next game for the Mavs is going to be in Utah on Wednesday night. If Richardson isn't back by that game at some level or some capacity, I will probably have hit my boiling point with this frustration because it's already a very frustrating situation, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but we just have no idea. Neither do the Mavs have any idea when these guys will actually be back. Now, as we've seen already, when the Mavs even just get one regular role player back in this rotation, it makes a huge difference. We've seen it with Jalen Brunson, who missed 10 days due to contact tracing. Well, he comes into the lineup, and he has been stellar since he's been back in, and now the Mavs are looking to get Josh Richardson back probably within the next 3 games, and that would be absolutely huge. So that's your update for the COVID guys. If there's a change in the injury report, I'll be the first one to have it here on YouTube, so make sure you subscribe and you can stay up to date with all that. But now let's actually talk about the game between the Mavs and the Nuggets. Remember, this is the second time these two have played. Last time they played, the Mavs won 124-117 in an overtime victory. Now, everyone was healthy for that game except Kristaps Porzingis, who did not play in that overtime victory for the Mavs. And the Mavs still got a victory, but in large part due to Josh Richardson's defense on Jamal Murray in the second half. Thanks in large part to Maxi Kleber's 3-point shooting, especially in the clutch. And then Dorian Finney-Smith even had 14 points and 8 rebounds. Now, Dwight Powell played 10 minutes. He had 7 points. So, look, if you take away those guys, I'm just looking at the stats right now. Dorian had 14 in that game. Maxi had 9, although all 3 of those were really clutch buckets. So there you have 23 points. Dwight Powell had 7. There's 30 points. And Josh Richardson had 14. That's 44 points you're taking out of the lineup. Now, thankfully for the Dallas Mavericks, Kristaps Porzingis is back in the lineup, and he will play. He was not in the injury report, so unlike when he sat out in Houston, he will play in this Denver game. And that's going to be huge because he's going to be a big problem for Jokic to guard. I'll talk more about him here in just a minute. But in that first victory against the Nuggets, the Mavs started Luka Doncic, Josh Richardson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Maxi Kleber, and Willie Cauley-Stein. So 3 of those 5 starters are not even playing in this game. Now, I'm very interested to see what Dallas does with the lineup. Because remember, Nikola Jokic torched Willie Cauley-Stein that last game. He had 38 points, 11 rebounds. Really, most of those buckets came in the clutch. Boban did a pretty solid job against him at times, but Boban can only play in short spurts or else he just gets absolutely toasted and is just useless on both sides of the floor. And so Since this game, and really the best lineup Dallas has had has been with Porzingis in the lineup at the 5, and Dallas going small with Luka, Jalen Brunson, Tim Hardaway Jr., Josh Green, and then KP. But the Nuggets start 2 true big men with Paul Millsap and Nikola Jokic, so I'm afraid Dallas isn't going to have the option to go small. Now, if they do go a little bit smaller than maybe Willie Cauley-Stein at the 5, I could see James Johnson coming in at the 4 in replace of Josh Green. And if Dallas does go small, maybe they can outpace the Nuggets, but I just don't know how it's going to work. They're going to get killed on the boards if they go with Josh Green and KP as your 4-5. That's going to be a really tough matchup. Millsap and Jokic would just kill them down low. So, I personally, what I would like to see would be Luka, Brunson, Hardaway, and then James Johnson and Porzingis. But what I think we're going to end up seeing is Luka, Brunson, Hardaway, KP, and Cauley-Stein. Now, I obviously have no idea. The probable starters on the roster sheet really doesn't matter because it's just a guess by the PR department. So we'll just have to wait and see. Personally, I'd rather keep KP at the 5, make Jokic guard him because Paul Millsap isn't going to be able to do anything on Kristaps Porzingis. So I'm very interested. This is definitely going to be a Boban game because we know Boban plays really well against the Nuggets. And although it's in short spurts, it's very, very helpful. Now, Denver might be running into a similar problem that Dallas ran into against the Houston Rockets in the fact that they might be very, very tired in this game because this will be Denver's 4th game in 7 days. And their last 2 wins over the Phoenix Suns both went to overtime. In fact, the first one, and this was on a back-to-back, their first one goes into overtime. They win the game against the Suns. And then their very next day, they turn around, they play a double overtime game against the Phoenix Suns. That's a lot of quarters. I mean, that's basically, you're playing 11 quarters of basketball in 2 days. And they got to turn around and play Dallas tomorrow. So hopefully Dallas can take advantage of that. They can get a team that looks tired. But, this team's looking good right now. They're on a 3-game win streak. They beat the Thunder and then the Suns twice. They're back up 2 games over 500. And they're not the same team the Mavericks played. They're looking a little bit more motivated on both sides of the ball. They're 9-7 on the year. They are 5-2 in away games. And although away games don't really matter all that much, it's still a notable number at 5-2. Like I said, 9-7, they're 7-3 in their last 10 games. So this Denver team is going to be good, as always, but they are going to be tired. Now, another thing I want to point out in relation to the last game, and I tweeted this out on my Twitter account at all_things_Mavs. If you don't follow me already, you're crazy. I don't know what you're doing, so go follow me there. But here's an interesting note, all right? James Johnson against the Denver Nuggets played 9 minutes in that first game. Josh Green played 3 minutes in that first game. Wes Iwundu played 0 minutes, did not play, coach's decision in that first game against Denver. Since then, due to guys being out for COVID, remember, James Johnson played 9 minutes. He's averaged 24.6 minutes per game since Denver. Josh Green, playing 3 minutes, has averaged 20.4 minutes per game. And he's started 5 of the 8 games since then. And then Wes Iwundu, who did not play, is averaging 22.2 minutes per game. So if you watch my Houston Rockets recap, you know I talked about this. These guys that are getting regular minutes are not going to get regular minutes when everybody's healthy. That's just the facts. I mean, it's just what's happening. And so you're not seeing a complete Dallas team. So I understand your frustration with losing, but to come out here and say this team is trash is a trash take in itself because Dallas isn't playing their normal rotation. This is a completely different rotation than what you would normally see. So again, those 3 guys are going to play heavy minutes in Denver tomorrow. Maybe James Johnson can have a big game against Millsap, play good defense. He's continually been a good defender, just made some boneheaded mistakes. And he shot the ball. I mean, he's shooting the ball okay. So we'll have to wait and see. But again, very different team, but adding in Porzingis could make a little bit of a difference. So now let's get into Jimmy's 3 keys to this game. And number 1 is let Kristaps Porzingis make Nikola Jokic uncomfortable. I actually wrote uncomfy in my notes, so you can use that. Let Porzingis make Jokic uncomfy in this game, which means play him at the 5 more often than not, and make Jokic, who's not a well-known defender or known as a good defender, come out to the 3-point line and guard him. Because KP can stretch the floor better than anyone in the league at that height. Because there's nobody else at that height that can shoot like that. So make him stretch the floor, put the ball on the floor, make Jokic guard him off the dribble. KP does some really nice things off the dribble when he's given the chance, and I would love to see him get that chance against Nikola Jokic. Now, last year, Porzingis only played the Nuggets 1 time, and it was not a good game. He ended up having a double-double. He had 10 points and 14 rebounds and 2 blocked shots, but 10 points ain't going to cut it in this game. If Porzingis has 10 points, I'll guarantee you right now, they're going to lose. If Porzingis doesn't have at least 18, here's my guarantee. If Porzingis does not score at least 18 points in this game, the Dallas Mavericks will lose. We know what Luka Doncic is going to do. We know Luka Doncic is the key to victory almost every night, but he puts up good numbers win or lose. So I'm not making him a key to this game because I know he's going to get his numbers against the Nuggets. Key number 2, keep Jamal Murray contained. Look, we already know, like Luka with the Mavs, Nikola Jokic is going to cook anybody that defends him. And he's going to get his, right? He's going to go out there and he's going to put up his numbers. And that's just going to be the way that it is. We're just going to have to deal with it. But Jamal Murray, who scored 21 points in that last game, was held basically ineffective in the second half and overtime because the Mavs switched Josh Richardson onto him. If you remember in the first half of that game, Tim Hardaway Jr. was guarding Murray most of the time, and that's when he scored most of his 21 points. But then Richardson gets switched onto him, and the Mavs contained him when it mattered. Now, there is no Josh Richardson in this game. So I don't know who's going to get the assignments on him. Maybe it's Wes Iwundu. Maybe it's Josh Green. Maybe Josh Green starts just for that reason, or Wes Iwundu starts just for that reason. Maybe it's Tim Hardaway. And if that's the case, I'm sorry, the Mavs aren't going to be able to keep him contained. So find a way to lock down Jamal Murray and make somebody besides or along with Nikola Jokic beat you. Because Jokic is going to get his points. But if it's Jamal Murray also getting his buckets, the Mavs are going to be in trouble. Third key to this game is get hot from beyond the three-point line. And you're like, Jimmy, obviously 3 is more than 2. Right, but hear me out. Denver is 21st. 21st, that's near the bottom of the league because there's 30 teams in the league, in the NBA in three-point percentage allowed at 37.7% per game. They are also 25th in the NBA, which is even closer to the bottom, at three-pointers allowed per game at 13.6. So they allow a lot of threes, and they allow the teams to make them efficiently. Dallas has been either really great at three-pointers in a game or really terrible in a game. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens in this one. Now, Dallas made 16 three-pointers in their first win against the Nuggets, which was tied for the second most three-pointers they've made in a game this year, all season long. Now, obviously, there was overtime, but that three-point percentage, that three-point shooting was incredible. Thanks in large part to Maxi Kleber being in the game, who made 3, went 3 of 3, I think. And then also Josh Richardson making a few. Dorian Finney-Smith made a few as well. Now, this three-point percentage, this three-point shooting depends very, very heavily on 2 guys, Trey Burke and Tim Hardaway Jr. This could honestly just be a fourth key in and of itself, is get these 2 guys hot. Because when one of these 2 guys is on, Dallas always looks like a better team. Now, an interesting note that I found with Tim Hardaway, and honestly, it wasn't as interesting for Trey Burke, but with Tim Hardaway Jr., when he scores 18 plus points in a game this season, the Mavs are 7-2. 7-2. That's a really good win percentage. I'm trying to do that math in my head, and it's not working very well for me. But it means they win a lot more when Tim Hardaway Jr. scores a lot more. When he scores anything less than 18 points in a game, the Mavs are 1-4. 1-4. Tim Hardaway Jr. is an X factor for this team. And honestly, I could have made him a keynote all by himself. Because if he comes out and he scores really well in this game, great. I think the Mavs will be in a good position. If he scores anything less than 18, the Mavs could lose. However, the one game in which he scored less than 18 points, and the Mavs won, I'll let you guess in the comments. Ready? Type your votes, or type your guesses. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to type it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It was Denver. The one time he scored less than 18 points and the Mavs won was in that Denver game in overtime. Dallas doesn't have that luxury this time around because they're missing 4 guys. They need Tim Hardaway Jr. to be a stud in this game. So that's my recap, or my preview, I guess, of this game. And I'll have my recap on Monday night after the Mavs hopefully pull out a W over the Denver Nuggets. I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm a little worried about this game, but a well-rested Kristaps Porzingis, a night of rest for guys like Luka Doncic and other guys that played so many minutes, it's going to be big. And Dallas knows how to play well against Denver. They always have. They always have. So let's hope they can do it again on Monday night. Thank you guys for tuning in once again to the All Things Mavs channel. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and get down in the comment section below. Also, if you don't follow me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram at space_Jim_jam or at all_things_Mavs. Personal account and then my Mavs account. Do both those things. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you on Monday night after the Mavs Nuggets game. And as always, go Mavs, baby.